You are tuned to ARP on the Accelerated Radio Network. It's 12 noon, and it's time to have lunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Bringing money talk you can understand. And now here's your host, Miss Charline.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Today, I'm so excited. I have been anticipating this interview from the day Leilani said that this gentleman said yes. I have Mr. Koco Blaq. Koco Blaq, that's right, on the show today. And Koco Blaq, for me, is a stylist. He is a trendsetter. He is a fashion icon, and he's a designer. Those are just some of the things I like about you. The other thing I love about you before I let you start speaking is your humble, wonderful presence. So thank you for agreeing to come on my show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely humbled and also grateful to be here with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So the first thing I want to know is the name Koco Blaq. Where did you get the name from? I love it. Where did you get that name from?
Well, the name Koco Blaq came from when I was from a childhood, actually. I was made fun of growing up. I grew up in Arizona, and
Okay.
Long story short, I remember this one kid calling me a coconut.
Okay.
And I was just like, a coconut? Because I wasn't black enough for the black people, and I wasn't white enough for the white people,
Okay.
and I wasn't Mexican at all.
Right.
So someone just called me a coconut. Oh, because I would always wear my little like Hawaiian board shorts and like
Okay.
puka shells. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's supposed to be offensive or whatever. So I realized, I'm just like, well, I'm going to be a fashion designer when I grow up. And I'm like, I need a name. And in high school, I came up with Koco Blaq. So me being part Polynesian and also me being part black.
Okay.
So that's where Koco Blaq comes from.
Okay. So Koco is the new black.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
I do have a shirt that says Coco's the new black.
I like that. It's funny how, when people can't put you in what they think is a box that they're accustomed to seeing, they try to shove you into a new box. And, we have to take that and make something positive out of it. So for you to take what was probably meant to be offensive and turn it around and make it into a brand, an international brand, is just amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's also one of the things where, growing up, people kind of knew that there was something special about me. They're like,
Yes.
you're gonna make it. And there's also a lot of people that, didn't believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
But that was something for me, like you said, to take something negative and turn it into something positive. And that's something that was just like really, really helped me actually, building my brand and also my business.
Yeah. So growing up, you mentioned a little earlier that you wanted to, and you knew you were going to be in fashion. And
Yeah.
so how did you did you dream about being in fashion, and where did you see yourself?
Well, the funny thing is like growing up during that time, we would always, collect Marvel cards and
Okay.
like comic book stuff and this and that. So what I would do is I would take these comic book characters and I would draw new outfits for them.
You'd redress them?
I did. Yeah, no, I did. So it wasn't, I was still kind of like, playing with, masculine things, but like on the side, I was like giving like new outfits for like Superman, Batman, and like, all of like the X-Men characters and stuff like that. So, it was a big dream of mine to do something in fashion.
Okay.
But I didn't actually really know what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how did you get started? Like when did it go from, being a childhood dream to you deciding this is what I'm going to do with my life? How did that transition take place?
Wow. I would probably say I was a late bloomer in the fashion industry.
Okay.
I've been in LA for 8 years.
Yes.
And before I jumped into the whole fashion scene, I was working at U.S. Airways. At the moment, it was U.S. Airways.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for the airlines. And I was just traveling, just like enjoying my time. And I remember I needed a break from everything around me, and I bought a one-way ticket to China. And I think I was about 22 at that time. and I went to China to teach English to elementary kids and travel, and I had the most amazing time, great experience. Dove into the food, the culture, and also at that time, like fashion. Like I was like so me coming from a town in Arizona,
right,
going to like Shanghai, to like almost
Yes.
one of the fashion capitals at that moment,
Yes.
and just seeing all of these clothes and just everything, and I immersed myself in that, and I quickly fell in love. And when I came back to LA, I was just like, I mean, actually to Arizona, I'm like, I'm gonna move to LA and I want to do fashion. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do, but I knew that I had a goal and I had a plan, and I'm like, this is what I want to do, something.
Wow. Now, did you go to school for fashion? Did you go to one of the fashion schools or any of that?
That's a funny story. So I did apply to FITM, and I was
Okay.
planning to go to FITM. The first day I showed up, I was to have a magazine from San Francisco. They were going to sponsor me.
Okay.
So they were going to take care of like my, tuition and all that, blah, blah, blah. So first day I show up, and they're like, actually, they didn't follow through without any kind of communication with me.
you.
So I show up expecting to go to class, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like it's not a problem, you can start, but do you have 3,000 you can put down and you can
And you're like,
go to school? And I was just like, no, I don't. So I left campus and I sat on the curb just like, what am I going to do?
Wow.
Like, what am I going to do? And I set in my mind and that I was going to make it no matter what. That was my plan A, and there was no plan B. There was no, you're not going to make it. This was just like, all right, I'm going to have to figure it out and make it on my own. And that time, working these like small little jobs, here and there, and staying with actually one of my best cousins, who was like my best friend, and I would possibly say like my rock throughout the whole time is David. Okay. And he was the one that was just like, no, you can do it, and like, whatever it is that you want, to accomplish, like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, no, it's possible, yes. And throughout like from then to now, he's always just been a part of like my success in my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was like a positive voice.
Yeah,
saying,
definitely.
Don't worry about it. You can do it. Don't sweat the little stuff. Just keep going. Wow. And then how did you get your first break? Because, there's always some like breaking point where you can say, okay, this was the point where I went from thinking about it, preparing myself for it, to actually doing it. How did that happen? Because there's always an opportunity that we don't take advantage of. Like someone will offer us something, or we'll see an opportunity and we let fear stand in the way. But what was the big break, the big turning point for you? How did that happen?
A quote comes to mind. Fake it till you make it.
Okay.
And I really didn't even understand like kind of what, I mean, of course that's kind of like, you fake it till you make it.
Right.
But like, how are you going to fake it? It was, so I got a job on Melrose, and I was there for about a year.
Okay.
So I would have various stylists and designers come in pulling for TV, movies, photo shoots, and things like that. And finally this lady came in. Her name was Carmen Thompson. Was like really frantic. She's like, I need this. I'm doing something for this. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I'm pulling all these clothes for her, and she's like, yes, I love that. I'll take that. I'll do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm pulling like the right necessary stuff that you have. So this just came out of my mouth. I'm like, well, I'm a stylist if you need any help on your shoot. And she was just like, actually, yeah, I do. She's like, are you working tomorrow? I'm like, no, I'm not working tomorrow. And she's like, cool, I'll come and pick you up with the clothes. We'll go on set. And the whole night, I couldn't even sleep. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just lied to this lady. And that morning, she picks me up, and we're heading to the actual studio where this movie is being shot. And I was just like, my legs are like all shaking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have to tell her the truth. So I told her, I'm like, Carmen, okay, I have to tell you something. And she's like, what's up? She's like, And I'm like, okay, I'm not a stylist. This is actually my first time like on the job. And she looked at me. She's like, are you kidding me? She was so mad. She was just like, she's like, I don't know what to do. And I looked at her, I'm like, I promise, like, I'll learn everything. I'll just like, you know, I'll do whatever it is that you tell me to do. Please just like give me a chance and give me a shot.
Yeah.
We get on set and she was mad. She's taking all the stuff. She's putting it on the rack. She's like, okay. She's like, first lesson. And she's like, don't ever lie to me. And I'm like, okay, I promise I won't. And from that point on, she taught me everything that I really needed to know.
Wow.
Like, she's like, this is the first AD. This is what he does. This is blah, blah, blah. And really taught me proper, like, etiquette on sets.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just really was just like, this is what you do. This is your job. And really broke everything down for me. So after a year of, like, working with her, this is where my first breakthrough came. Mm-hmm. So she got a job working with another costume designer for the Kids' Choice Awards. Okay. And at that time, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, was hosting. Mm-hmm. And they wanted, the whole creative concept for the end of the show was him coming out in a very Tahitian kind of situation. Mm-hmm. And he has like dancers and all this stuff. So Carmen realized, she's like, wait a second. She's like, didn't you grow up making these costumes? I'm like, yeah, I did. Uh-huh. And then she's like, all right, perfect. I'll hire you. Because the whole time I was just kind of like, you know, working for free because she was teaching me.
Okay. So it was like an apprenticeship. Like
it
you
was,
working
yeah,
for free,
definitely.
And she was just, okay. So you guys hear that? You might have to work for free. It's okay.
Put in your dues.
Put in the work, and it will obviously reward you.
Yeah.
So please continue.
So yeah, so she hired me, and we made all these costumes for The Rock, which was, I was like, oh my gosh, like him being Polynesian was just amazing for me to even be a part of that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my gosh, like The Rock, and he was huge. Well, I mean, he's still kind of huge now, physically and also his career-wise. But I was like so excited. So after I did that, she wrote me a check, and she's like, here, I think it was like $450 or something like that. And I was excited. I was just like, oh my gosh, cool. And she looked at me. She's like, now that you got paid for your first job, you don't ever do anything for free.
Wow.
She's like, there's
Great
no
mentor.
looking back.
That's right.
And I'm like, all right, perfect, cool. So from that point on, I went on to being able to work on So You Think You Can Dance, America's Best Dance Crew. LMFAO at that time had one of their hit songs, Shots, and met up with them, and they're just like, oh, you costume design, you do this and do that. I'm like, yeah, I do. So they hired me for a show. And they're just like, we want to keep you. So I was with them for, I would probably say, about 6 years.
6 years?
6 years. 5, 6 years, I think. Yeah, around about. Yeah. So help them from like create their image, their look, their brand, their costumes, from music videos to award shows to TV appearances, everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. You've got a story. You know, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit before we came on air, and we're talking about how some people, you know, they want so bad to get into what they see as their dream career, and they just don't know how to get off the couch and do it. You know what I mean? They listen to people, they watch, you know, television, or they listen to it on air, and they say, but how do I do this? How do I get started? What is my first step, you know, from sitting there thinking I can do it to actually walking out and doing it? What would you tell them? Because you said it within this interview. What would you say is the first step to actually getting to the journey of your goal?
I think the first step is actually, it all starts with the thought. It all starts with you. Within us, there's this like light, and I kind of want to take it back. I grew up in the Mormon faith, okay, and I think that's where like the root of my kind of like faith and foundation is just like, you know, there's God, there's a higher power than us. Yes. Just like if we put that initial belief that we can achieve or accomplish something, we have to put our faith in in God. We have to put our faith in the higher power.
Yes.
You know, and that's for me. I was just like, that's what I needed to do. I didn't know how to become a designer or a stylist or a costume designer, but I put my faith in the Lord, and, you know, hoping that something would come from it. And once you do, I mean, it's all up to Him. You know? Putting people in your paths, putting opportunities before you to kind of make you, you know, make that first step.
Yeah. And taking advantage.
Like, yes, I'll do it.
Yes. And then taking advantage of those opportunities and kind of putting yourself out there. Because when you told her you were a stylist, she believed you. Because you said it with confidence. I'm a stylist.
I did.
I can help you. And you did. Yeah. You know, so, you know, be confident in who you say you are and walk in that, kind of. Yeah, I like it. And then how do you develop the ability to define your self-worth? Because we talked about that too. It's like, you know, you get that paycheck and you go, oh my God, I got a paycheck. You know, how do you decide, like, from that paycheck till now you are the Koco Blaq, and you can kind of, you know, decide how much you want to be paid for something. How do you develop that? Trial
and error. Oh my gosh. It's hard because, I mean, everyone knows we are our worst enemy.
Yes.
And we are our worst critic.
Yes.
You know, some ways it's good, but the other ways it's bad. You know, we can create a world around us, and we can also destroy the world around us just by a simple thought.
Yes.
And I mean, for me, oh gosh, I don't know. There's a lot of things kind of like going on that I want to like talk about, but sorry.
That's okay.
Calling.
He's like, honey, are you finished with your interview? How was it?
He's like, no, exactly. He's like, 'cause I want to know how it went. He's like, can you send me photos? I'm sorry. Well, what was the question again?
The question was, how do you reach that point where you you know your self-worth? How do you get there?
I think I'm still kind of learning.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. And at times when, you know, you doubt yourself is when you actually really need to do it, regardless of whatever it is, you know? And even I mentioned to you before coming to this interview, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I even want to say yes to this or even, you know, come to it or say something came up. But because I'm always scared of doing interviews. Yeah. But it's just like, I mean now I feel at ease and I'm comfortable being here, and I'm glad definitely that I did it. Yeah. But I mean, it's just always kind of a continual process and situation.
Yeah. You kind of get comfortable with fear, and knowing that every time you walk past it, you've done just that, walked past it. Yeah. You know, because we did talk about that earlier. You were like, I didn't know if I wanted to do this. I didn't know what kind of questions you were going to ask me. You know, I'm in the, you know, fashion world and you're in finance. You know, how do those two worlds meet? And, you know, I think the biggest part of where they meet is in the confidence of knowing your self-worth, so that you can be paid for the gift and talent that, like you said, God gave you. God gave you this talent, and you should be paid for it, and you're worthy. And sometimes I think that's kind of where we fall short, is that we don't think we're worthy. So we sit on that couch and we watch other people, and we don't take those steps necessary to do the things that we were actually put here to do, which is to the betterment for all, and which is what you do. You make people beautiful. You make them feel confident, you know. You know, you can sing a song, but you have to be dressed. You have to have clothes on, okay? And so you want to make, you complete the picture. You know, the picture's not complete without you.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Thank you. And I think one of the things why I was very persistent and very just kind of like, this is my goal and this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an example to my nieces and my nephews.
Yes.
And every time I see them, I'm just like, and also to my cousins and just the people around me that I love, it's just like, we can be and do whatever it is that we want.
Yes.
You know, and don't let anyone say that you can not do it.
Right.
And I was just like, for people to, and for me, when people would they're like, oh, you're going to Hollywood. I'll see you back in Arizona in 2 years. I'm like, actually, no, you will never see me in Arizona.
Right.
I'm like, I have a goal. I have a dream that I'm going to accomplish and I'm going to achieve. And I was I put everyone aside, and I'm just like, I need to focus on me.
Yes.
And I need to build myself up, and I need to create this world and this lifestyle that I've always wanted for myself.
So you had to kind of that's another great point. I'm so glad you made it, is you have to take a space of time where you're focused on you, your career goals, and what you want to do. And that's not a time of being selfish. That's a time of focus. And so we need to replace that word selfish with focus. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps people too to build, to get to the next level. Because without focus and without taking the time to focus on what you feel you need to do or want to do, or what you're here to do, or your passion, however you label it, you're not going to get there. You have to take the time to say, I'm going to do this. I will not be back. And I am going to build this.
No, exactly.
Right?
Yep. So true. And I mean, so far, I mean, I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still progressing, and
yeah.
I'm still continuing on like my path of success.
That's cool. Now, okay, so I'm going to ask you some fan questions because I'm a fan. So, like, what are your favorite colors? What is the favorite, material you like to work with? Or let's start with, what are your favorite colors? Do you have any?
Color. I do like yellow.
Do you? I like orange.
And it matches your outfit.
Yeah.
The reason why I favor yellow more is because it like stimulates the mind.
Okay. And
every color has a meaning, and every color has a kind of property that kind of carries it, with itself. So so I think yellow makes me happy.
Okay.
I probably should have wore yellow, but I mean,
you got the microphone,
yellow, so
and it's kind of in your beats, so it's cool.
Yeah. So I would say yellow.
Yellow, amazing. So now, when you style someone, how does that work? Like, do they just put their faith in you to create the image, or do they have something in mind, or is it the combination?
It depends.
Okay.
So depending on the client, if they want to hire you to create something for them, to
mm-hmm.
design something, then of course they kind of trust in your talent and your ability and your experience to create something for them to kind of, for an appearance, for a performance or whatever. Other clients, they just like, I want to wear this, and this, and I want you to go shopping for me.
Okay.
Which is totally fine. I'm fine either way. Just as long as you pay me, then we're good.
Right.
But I think I mean, it kind of all depends. It all depends on the client.
Okay. It depends on the client. Like, okay, so for me, if I was going out for an evening,
here we go.
right? If I were going out, one evening, and I was going to, let's say, a charity event, just by looking at me, what do you think the best color would be for me to wear?
The best color? For some reason, I love women in red.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
Red is a very well, for me, red brings up passion, mm-hmm. sexuality, sensual, and it's also very sophisticated. It's very just kind of like bold.
Yes,
if you want to make that statement when you go to an event or a red carpet event, I mean, I always tend to go for red.
Okay.
Go big or go home, right?
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you. I'll take that advice. And so, in building your business, because you have multiple streams of income, in building your business, how did you move from one to the next, and then it became this umbrella of things that you do?
Mm-hmm. When I first moved to LA, I wanted to be I think growing up, mm-hmm. everyone that wants to be in the fashion industry is just like, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to have my own clothing line.
Right.
And for me, I'm just like, that's what I want.
Okay.
But there's so much work involved.
Yes.
There's a lot of work involved, and there's a lot of money involved.
Yes.
And me just being a little kid moving to LA, and I'm like, okay, I want to be a fashion designer. I want to have my own clothing line.
Right.
I don't have 2 nickels to rub together to make $1.
Right.
You know, how am I supposed to, you know what I mean? There's a
Yeah.
lot entailed into that. So I think working with LMFAO and being able to be their costume designer and then also their designer for their clothing line
Yes.
was definitely practice for me to know, like, okay, this is how the production world works to like create a garment, make a garments, and there's a lot of things that come with it. So there's a lot. It's just talking about it just overwhelms me.
But you were able to use your talent as a stylist and then to, parlay that into, them asking you, okay, so now we not only need you to style us for special occasions, but you need to create a whole look for us, to, now create a line for us. So it kind of was a progression that, if you're out there and you want to, like you said, own your own line, that might be the route, is to style for someone, to create a line for someone, and then to step out on your own. Because I kind of see that as being the pattern for quite a few designers, is to, put the work in. And we kind of touched on this, when we were offline too. You got to put in the work. And Lord knows you have.
Oh, thank you.
You weren't an overnight success. I think that sometimes the millennials and kind of have this idea that you go from, the idea straight to the ultimate success. And there's a journey along the way that a lot of us take, most of us take. And it has some dips and valleys and ups and downs, but we eventually get there, as you have accomplished.
Well, still.
And working on, right?
Yeah. Definitely still. Yeah.
So now, as far as like, you were talking about your family and how important they are to you. And so are any of them interested in doing what you do because of the influence?
Well, recently, I just pulled in my sister to kind of help me. My last fashion show, there was just a lot going on. So I flew her from Utah to Arizona to help me with a lot of my jewelry pieces, flower hair pieces and accessories and sunglasses. And I'm just like, I need you to come here. Because my sister's very crafty, you know what I mean? And I brought her here to kind of like sit at home while I'm running around in my craziness to just like make these like extravagant floral hair pieces and these really cool glasses. And that was the first time that I actually even worked with her.
Oh, wow.
In this type of environment. Yeah. And then, so I'm just like, I would come home after a long day and I would see our whole house was just filled with like flowers and glitter and just like everything. And I would come home and I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, how did you? Well, it runs in the family.
Right.
So yeah. So I think, so then when I got another gig working with another artist, I flew her back out to kind of help me make costumes for the dancers. So I'm thinking about pulling her into like my company to kind of be like, hey, you just handle accessories and I'll do. And she's amazing and I love her. And she's, from the very, very get-go, she's been very, very supportive.
See.
Yeah.
Wow. So this could turn into a family business.
I think so. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, in putting together a fashion show, I know there's so many elements of that. What for you is the most fun? The
most fun, and I want to add the most rewarding is actually seeing all of the craziness from the simple sketch on a piece of paper to the fittings of the models, to the production of the garments, to the late nights, to the crying, breaking down, to everything, is seeing your pieces walk down the runway.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most.
Because people are in awe of the beauty of it, and because it's an art. It's a walking piece of art. And so, you know, from an audience perspective, because, you know, I don't have talent in that area. You know, I can look at someone else's garment and say, okay, if you tweak that and tweak that and tweak that, that's what I want. You know, so that's as far as design as I go.
And that's okay.
But for me, I love fashion and I love seeing fashion shows. And so for me, when that beautiful piece of art walks down the runway, it's always in my head, oh my God, what did it take to create that final image? You know, where did that start? And like you said, it started with a sketch on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know, so that's amazing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years?
Yes.
In 5 years, I see myself with a very successful clothing line, which creates residual income. Yes. I'm the type of person, like, I mean, I put in a lot of work, but I also want to enjoy my life, and I also want to enjoy the people around me.
Yes.
And I want to create this business where I can, if I wake up in the morning and I feel like flying to Hawaii or wherever it is in the world just to enjoy time with my family, I want to be able to walk away from my business, from my company, to go and enjoy life.
Yes.
And I think that's, for me, I think that's what success kind of is.
Yeah.
Enjoying to have time with my family and not being able to not worrying about finances, not worrying about where our next meal is going to come from, but being able to enjoy time with family.
That's perfect. Are you happy?
I'm very happy.
Are you?
Thank you.
You look happy.
I'm very happy.
No, seriously, you do. You look very happy. Are you content?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm content, but I think I definitely want more.
Okay.
I definitely I can feel I can be a little bit more happier, and more. Actually, I don't want to say happier. I don't know if that's even a word, but
we make up words around here. Don't worry about it.
I think joyful. You
joyful.
Know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I think joy is more long lasting.
Yes.
Joy is more just kind of like after the heartache and the struggle, and you find joy in whatever it is that you do.
Yes.
In a little bit, in a few months, or hopefully in about a year or so, I would love to adopt and have kids. I think I will find joy in that.
Definitely. It's hard work, but it can be very rewarding. Yeah. Because I think that kind of helps give life purpose. You know? Yeah. Wow. You're going to have a little fashion designer. I'm going to have
a little Koco running around.
Little Koco running around. That's great. Now, what do you have coming up more right now? What do you have going on now?
Wow. Okay. Well,
because I was happy to get you. I was like, whatever day he says, okay.
Gosh. I know. I was really hesitant to be like, yes, I'm available for that date, because things always pop up in this industry. Well, I recently just finished costuming and styling the Meghan Trainor tour, which is out right now. She's out right now. She's traveling right now. So that took a lot of my time, and I think I need to take a break because that took a lot out of me. I am doing a commercial tomorrow, and after that, I'm going to be working on my 2017 spring-summer collection for next year.
Wow.
Yeah, which I will be showing in October.
Cool. So wait, you're going to be showing it in October.
For
the spring,
for the following year.
Spring. I want to come.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Yay.
We can make it happen, of course.
Oh, yay. I want to come. That's great. What else do I want to ask you before you have to go? Will you come back on my show?
Yeah, definitely.
You will?
Let's make it happen.
Okay, good. Because I know you were a little hesitant.
Yes, let's make it happen. No, yeah. It'll be fun. I'm fine.
That's good. Now, what one piece of advice would you give someone who is listening to this interview and says, oh my gosh, I want to be the next Koco Blaq? What's one piece of advice you would give them?
God's greatest creativity is my own individuality, which is a quote by Thomas S. Monson. And that for me was just, we're all different.
Yes.
And we're all here for a purpose.
Yes.
And whatever it is, if it's a homemaker, a mother, a designer, banker, whatever, we're all here for a purpose. And we're all a part of this great plan. And for me, I knew that I was different, you know, and I knew that I had some special plan or,
Yes.
you know, out there set for me. But I've always had a very strong faith in knowing that everything will happen when it's supposed to happen. And God will provide a way.
Yes.
And if you put your faith in him, then anything is possible. So, I mean, I'm always telling people, just whatever it is that makes you happy, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Whatever it is that makes you happy, just do it. Stop just thinking about it and get up and go do it, because there's a whole audience out there waiting for you, whatever your gift and talent is. And I want to thank you so much, Koco Blaq, for coming on my show and sharing your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate it. And I will definitely be at your spring collection debut.
Let's make it happen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Lunch with the Finance Bunch. This is Miss Charline, and thank you so much for listening.